I would like to talk about how data can power the urban mobility and improve it. But before I start, I just want to give you a little bit of overview about Moovit. We are today the world leading mobility app with more than 170 million users. Just to give you a perspective, we're adding about 1.1 million new users a day now. A lot of them comes from mobile web platforms. And since I was here last time in 2016, we grew up 5x. We provide our service in more than 2,200 cities, 80 countries, and we collect today between 3 to 4 billion data points a day from our users. It's mainly aggregated anonymous data about people movement within cities. Our goal is to reach 1 billion users, to cover 5,000 cities, which is actually the number of cities around the world with more than 100,000 population, and have 1,000 customers. Next time I meet you in Berlin, 2021, but it's probably going to happen maybe a year before. Moovit started as a public transit app that provides information how to get from point A to point B. And we actually fulfilled Dara's vision because we allow you today to get from point A to point B by aggregating other means of transportation besides transit, which includes Uber, for example, or Lyft or others, but also even our own carpool services side by side with bicycles, both private and rentals. The slide that I'm most proud of is this one. We're adding a new city to our service every 15 hours in average. So probably more than one city a day added to our service. And you might ask yourself, how do we do that? By the way, it's pretty much about 80% more than Google Maps covered regarding transportation. And the only way to do it is not by our employees, because we only have a little bit over 100. It's because we were lucky and able to build an amazing community of volunteers around the world. More than 2 million people actively volunteered to help us build transit data around the world. And we qualified more than 330,000 editors, qualified editors who actually spend time completely voluntarily building their own city data and maintaining it, which is even more important. The way we look at the future of urban mobility is today there is a clear distinction between what we call public transit and what's a private transit considered to be. But we believe that in the coming 5 to 10 years, all what we consider today private will turn into some way of a public transit. It means that it's not going to be owned by the public, but it's going to be controlled by public transportation systems. Cities will have to take a way more active role managing mobility in the next 5 to 10 years, mainly because citizens and the city owns the infrastructure, and the city must provide affordable mobility to all. And the tools for cities to actually allow that is the way of applying price control, supply rules, and a lot of subsidy. Moovit would like to take part of any urban ride in the future, which is 6 to 10 billion rides a day, by controlling the user interface of how people get or find their ride, by monitoring the demand and helping cities to better plan, and also monitoring all the moving parts within the city using Moovit mobility operating system for the cities. So I want to let you know that about 50 to 70% of transit today is subsidized. I don't know if you knew about this number, but this is an amazing large number, which is more than $1 trillion around the world. Just to give you a perspective, in the US, actually the debates are if it's between 50 to 70 billion dollars of subsidized to transit only. And the question we ask ourselves, and I ask you, is can it be better allocated based on data? Data that could not be achieved until the era that we live in with products like Moovit. And what would happen if we redirect some of it to the private sector? So I want to show you a case study we did in Boston. In order to be sensitive to the time, I'm going to do it very quickly. So the problem statement was how to increase rail ridership and to reduce the number of cars getting into the city every day because it is very congested. So we look at one main train line getting into Boston. Just to give you a perspective, it's a 40 miles line with about 18 train stops or train stations all the way to the city. We only analyze Moovit data in a radius of 5 miles around every train station. As I said, we collect about 4 billion data points a day, multiplied by 365 days a year, multiple years, so we have a lot of data. And what we figured out is, the analysis tools show us an incredible phenomena. 50% there's 50% increase in driving into the city after 8 a.m., which doesn't make any sense because traffic is just worse after 8 a.m. The reason for that was clear. No parking available after 7:30 at any of the train stations, and there's also poor first-mile transit for these people that they had to take their car and drive into the city. So when we think about the solutions, you can build more parking lots. That's very expensive. Real estate does not exist. You can invest more in first-mile transportation, but buses will drive completely empty because it's a suburb area. Or you can apply a congestion fee, which is just a fine, and it's not going to solve the problem. We suggest to promote or subsidize local shuttles, Uber Pool, Lyft lines, Via, or whatever private type of mobility that will take people from home to the grid, to the train station. Technology today, with Moovit or other tools, allow you to know exactly where people are heading, and you can pinpoint subsidize these rides, and it's immediate and it's much cheaper. So not only that we know that, but we know exactly where the demand is coming from for each one of the train stations along the line. So we can even make it more efficient. And as Dara said, click a button, you get a car, you get to the train station, it's going to cost you the same, just a better mobility with data supporting it. So I want to leave you with the question of, or with the thought that before we spend billions on new infrastructure, we should maybe think about leveraging the existing infrastructure with just more technology and data. Moovit has all the data to support that around the world. Thank you very much for your time. Think about it.